So here we are explaining why is it that we are what we eat. Okay, so it all started when I was growing up. Um, my grandparents are or were farmers, and so I really believe that everything that you put in your mouth, it will turn into what we are now. And what I mean by that is that it's very important that you watch everything that you put in your system. And a lot of people are not even aware of how dangerous it is to not feed yourself with a proper nutrition. For the longest time, I suffered a lot from allergies and aches and pains, and so it's been a long time that I have been studying, researching, and writing down what I eat, and it took me years. I mean, this is not even funny. It took me a long time to figure out what was wrong and why is it that a lot of the things that I was feeling, it was only when I got here. So a lot of the food in the U.S. is basically very processed, generally modified, and so because of it, I went back and I thought, this is all has to do with the way I grew up. And we have a lot of products that are not grown in the United States, that are grown overseas, all the way across from the Atlantic. We might get maybe like, per se, sushi, huh, comes from across the Atlantic, right? A lot of the times we get it from the Asian um, countries. Sometimes they come all the way from the Mediterranean, which is far away too. Okay, um, so how fresh are these products? Here's the ticket. Maybe not. Maybe not so fresh. Because by the time they get from, let's say, Italy, where we get our olives, right? If we want the real deal sometimes, or maybe somewhere around the Mediterranean, right? It goes, I don't know, all the way this way to where I am right now, which is Florida. Okay, so this food needs to make it. Okay, so they put a lot of maybe preservatives to so that it doesn't go bad and it has a shelf life that can last in the stores. Okay, so again, why is it that we have to be aware of it? Well, a lot of the products that we also have in our pantries or even on your fridge, especially vegetables, they come from either Mexico, uh, down below here, anywhere from Ecuador or Brazil, Chile maybe, which is way down there, okay? And which is kind of nice because you get foods that are grown in many different countries. Now the problem here is the timing. How do you keep a mango from not ripening by the time we get it in the U.S.? Here's the real problem: they have to cut them when they're not completely ripe. So that's why when you open a mango and you say, "Oh, this is gonna be delicious," and guess what? It doesn't taste good because it wasn't harvested at the right time. A mango, bananas, uh, coconuts. I mean, the coconuts, the real coconuts, are supposed to be still within the outside skin, and they should be fresh, baby. So they should be all nice and green in the outside, and the nut, which is the hard part, which is the brown side. And this is probably one of the things you're more um, I guess, familiar with is to find a coconut that is already in the nut, but you're not or will not see something that is got the layer, the outside layer, which is the skin. Now, when I lived in Hawaii, right over here, I used to work at a fruit stand and we had fresh young coconuts, and then a lot of people had no clue. First of all, like what it looked like. Second of all, okay, how do you go in about opening a coconut? Well, you need a machete. The other thing that people were not aware of also were like sugar cane, which, by the way, you see the stick behind me? That's sugar cane. And, you know, I used to sell those products. And the reason why we were able to do it is because we were not sending them across the ocean. We had a fruit stand that had everything right there. So by the time you go on the way to Hana, we were right there on Hana Highway. I could open it and you'll drink it, and boy, was that delicious. But a lot of people have also mentioned it doesn't taste the same as the one that I buy in where New York. So we need to appreciate and give thanks for the farmers, and of course to God that keep them going, because farming, let me tell you, it's not something that is an easy task. It's more of a form, it's more like an art, it's a labor of love, and I done it myself. A lot of people say, well, I'm gonna just start a farm. If anything goes wrong, I'm just gonna start a farm. You know how much work it takes. Well, it all has to do with where you live too. I travel very, very alone many times. Like I said, I first of all I was born right over here, tiny little place, El Salvador. So yeah, se habla español también. Anyway, we grew tomatoes, all the tropical fruits. I grew up eating mangoes and anonas, guanabas, guayabas. I mean, it was just great. But again, why is it that all these tropical fruits are so good down here? Or I guess right in the middle, right? Again, it's because of the weather. We get a lot of rain. We have a very warm climate. So all this local, I guess, produce, it does very well over here. But I learned how to kind of like manage those things. So how do I grow this per se here in Arizona? When I lived in Arizona, my husband and I, my entire family basically, and my daughter helped our good friend Edwin to put a greenhouse in the middle of his farm. Now the challenge is the water. Luckily, he has a well, but still the temperatures are so harsh. You can be in the winter time where it's super cold and super dry, and how do you grow tropical fruits there? Well, the answer for us was to set up a greenhouse big enough that you can plant a bananas, you can plant plantain. We actually put a hidden mangoes. I think that's the name. I think I'm correct. If not, I'm gonna make sure that I put the right name in the links or in the comment. But yeah, we have a tremendous amount of diversity of foods that you will not be able to do it out in the open. So I strongly suggest to, if you have property where you can have a greenhouse, please do it. I mean, there's really no excuse. I'm gonna put some pictures after I'm done with my speech here, so you can see how wonderful this experience was. The other place that I was also learning about how to grow foods was when we moved away up in in altitude, still in Arizona, but we didn't have the space. We were in our little apartment, and I grew indoors. Again, I'm gonna share some pictures later with you. Was growing microgreens, and I think everybody should either have experience being in a farm, being part of the whole process. I don't care what they're farming, but you need to do that yourself. I mean, take a field trip, join a group or something, but you need to get started somehow. It will definitely change the way you think and your own perspective about how important it is to know where your food comes from, and it all starts in farms. Not only you're gonna be learning, but you're also gonna put a lot of value into the food that you buy. And third, you're gonna be supporting local farmers, and that's what we need to do. That's something that I need to stress. This is my goal with what we eat. We are what we eat YouTube channel. I want to inspire you so you can start growing your own food. And like I said, I'm gonna put more pictures about how I did it in different scenarios. And you don't have to have a lot of room. You don't have to have a big farm or a lot of land. It can all be done in your backyard or in your little tiny studio. So again, I moved then after that to Florida, and again, I didn't have a farm or a lot of room, but yet I wanted to have, like for example, citrus growing, and I'm like, I don't know. I was very skeptical about growing in pots, but I give it a try. And again, you cannot be afraid of trying new things. In Hawaii, we started to grow our plants and started growing them in pots. That's how I learned how to grow things on pots, papayas and avocados and bananas and things like that. And this is after 6 months, we had our papayas pretty much thriving. We had hundreds of papayas. I mean, they were coming and they were not stopping. We also grew cassava, and most people know it by tapioca, right along the driveway. So that's how my indoor garden looked like when I was in Arizona at 7,000 feet. I grew microgreens with the lights, with the growing lights. These are kumquats, and this is a guava tree. I also had bok choy and different kinds of greens. That's my cabbage. And this is a lemon tree in a big pot. So this greenhouse is about 20 to 53 feet long, and the inside is 10 feet. You can see how everything grew just healthy, as you can imagine. And after 4 years, this is what it still looks like. A child's science project can turn into a beautiful forest. Please never stop planting trees, because that is the real purpose.